Hi, welcome back. We're now in part 3 of states of consciousness. So we left off after a brief introduction to the electroencephalogram, the EEG machine. And now let's pick back up there. So the EEG, first of all, measures waves of wakefulness. So these are the brain waves that we experience when we're awake. When we're awake and we're also alert, our brain emits what we call beta waves, which are the small, fast brain waves associated with that alert state. A second state of wakefulness is when we are awake, but we're a little bit less alert and we're getting drowsy. So we haven't quite entered any of the sleep stages yet. In the awake but drowsy stage, our brain emits large alpha waves. So these are larger than the beta waves, and they are slower than the beta waves. And remember, they're associated with wakefulness and drowsiness. So now let's look at the stages of sleep. During sleep stage 1, this is actually a transition stage when we are first falling asleep. So during this transition stage, when we are first falling asleep, you enter stage 1. During this stage, you may experience images and hallucinations, which are actually sensory experiences without sensory input. Many people have the sensation of falling during this stage 1. They also have the experience of floating, and some people have reported having been abducted by aliens. This sleep stage 1 is a brief stage. Remember, during sleep stage 1, this is where we experience the hypnagogic hallucinations, and these are those vivid sensory phenomena like falling or being abducted by aliens that can occur during the onset of sleep. One of the common hypnagogic hallucinations is that vivid sensation of falling that is accompanied by what we call a myoclonic jerk or a sleep start. That's that jerk that we do when we jerk ourselves awake. So next we have sleep stage 2, and this occurs when you relax more deeply. This stage lasts for about 20 minutes. On the EEG, this stage is marked by sleep spindles or bursts of brainwave activity. Sleep talking, which is garbled nonsense talk, or in the case of my son, sounds like alien language. This is where that garbled nonsense talk takes place. Next we have sleep stage 3, and this is marked by large, slow delta waves. And this stage lasts for about 30 minutes. During stage 3, it is extremely hard to wake someone up. And then we have stage 4, which is also marked by large, slow delta waves, and this lasts for about 30 minutes. It's important to remember that during sleep stage 4, this is where children may sleepwalk. Another interesting fact about the stages of sleep is that EEG recordings show that the brain's auditory cortex does respond to sound, even during sleep. Each of these sleep cycles, so all of these cycles, including stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and back up to 3, 2, and then the REM stage, this whole cycle lasts about 90 minutes. So in this slide, this is another graphic image of those stages of sleep. So remember, when we are awake alert, those are the beta brain waves. Next, we become a little bit drowsy. This is where our brain emits alpha waves. And then we have stage 1, and this is where we have those hypnagogic hallucinations and those myoclonic jerks, potentially. Stage 1 is a mixture of alpha and theta waves. Next, we have stage 2, and this is where we have those sleep spindles, theta brain waves, and the beginning of delta waves. So this is a deeper stage of sleep. Stage 3, this is where we have a mixture of theta and delta waves, and this is a stronger stage of sleep, and it's hard to wake someone during this stage. Next we have stage 4, And this is where we have those really deep delta brain waves. So upon reaching stage 4, and after about 50 to 70 minutes of total sleep time, the sleep lightens and we return up through stages 3 and then stages 2. Then we enter REM sleep. So it's important to remember that after stage 4, we go back up into the lighter stages, 3, 2. We do not go into stage 1 because remember that's the transition stage into sleep. So we go stage 1, 2, 3, 4, back up to stage 3, 2, then we bounce into REM sleep. So REM sleep emerges and is characterized by EEG patterns that resemble the beta waves of alert wakefulness. During REM sleep, our muscles are the most relaxed. Rapid eye movement occurs, and dreams also occur. During REM sleep, the visual and motor neurons in the sleeper's brain activate repeatedly just as they do during wakefulness. So this is why the eyes dart back and forth behind the closed eyelids. And however, even though there are these visual and motor neurons firing, voluntary muscle activity is suppressed. The heart rate, blood pressure, and respirations can fluctuate up and down during this stage, and sometimes muscle twitches do occur. So the motor cortex is active during the REM stage, but the brainstem blocks the messages. That's why we don't act out what we experience while we're sleeping, and that's why we are paralyzed. Another important aspect of REM sleep is that your frontal lobe is disengaged. And remember, the frontal lobe is that part of the brain that tells you whether or not something is a good idea. So it's the part of the brain that is kind of like your editor and says, yeah, that makes total sense. That's a great idea, or no, not such a good idea. And so that explains why our dreams make complete sense to us while we're dreaming. I mean, have you ever had a dream where you're flying, or maybe even you're sliding down a rainbow, or you've even met a unicorn? Well, in your dreams, that makes complete sense because your frontal lobe is disengaged. It is not online, and it's not giving you the feedback to say, that doesn't make any sense. Here's some interesting tidbits that I'd like you to know about sleep. Yawning. Yawning regulates and increases your level of arousal. Seeing, hearing, or thinking about yawning may trigger contagious yawning, which may be related to our ability to feel empathy. Prolonged wakefulness results in a sharp increase in adenosine levels and sleepiness. Slow-wave non-REM sleep reduces adenosine. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors, thus promoting a more wakeful state. Sleep paralysis is a temporary condition in which a person is not able to move upon waking in the morning or during REM sleep. Deaf people who use sign language can indeed sign during sleep, just like hearing people speak during sleep. Sleep talking usually occurs during stages 3 and possibly stage 4. Sleepwalking also occurs during stage 3 and possibly stage 4. It is generally not dangerous to wake up a sleepwalker. However, it's difficult because sleepwalkers are in one of those deep stages of sleep. We also think that sleepwalking may have a genetic component because it does tend to run in families. Let's look at some aspects of sleep across the lifespan. Over the course of our lives, the quantity and quality of sleep does change considerably. From birth onward, total sleep time, REM sleep, and non-REM sleep slowly decrease, but once we reach early adulthood, that amount of necessary or needed sleep remains consistent, although we don't always get it. let's look at this first thing on the PowerPoint. Sleep cycles emerge during prenatal development. So what we notice is that babies, infants in utero, do experience sleep cycles similar to what they experience once they've been born. Newborns sleep 16 to 17 hours a day, and scientists think that they sleep so long because of the profound neurogenesis that's happening, which is the growth of the brain. By age 2, 75-minute sleep cycles are experienced. By age 5, the typical 90-minute sleep cycles of alternating REM and non-REM sleep emerge. Deeper, slow-wave sleep decreases with age, and this is one of the reasons why it's harder for older people to sleep as much as they need. They simply have a hard time entering the deeper stages of sleep, and they don't stay in those deep stages of sleep as long as they used to. Now let's talk about sleep deprivation. Some individuals need more and some individuals need less than the typical 8 hours, but 8 hours is the average for the average person. After being deprived of sleep for just one night, microsleeps develop, and these are episodes of sleep lasting a few seconds during wakefulness. Disruptions in mood, mental abilities, reaction time, perceptual skills, and complex motor skills occur with sleep deprivation. Harmful changes in levels of stress hormones, and also we see immune systems compromised as a result of sleep deprivation. REM deprivation often results in REM rebound, increasing REM by 50%. And so basically what this means is that if we are sleep deprived and if we are not allowed to or prevented from entering into REM sleep, we have a deficit in what REM we need. So if we do fall asleep, we cycle through those stages 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2 into REM a lot faster than we normally would if we're not sleep deprived. Most people are not good at judging the extent to which their performance is impaired by inadequate sleep. Remember, we talked about that in that sleep IQ test. People who go without sleep for a day or more experience disruptions in a variety of areas. Remember that. I want to share with you some research. This I found in Scientific Mind magazine, and it was dated March-April 2011. I'm going to read you a brief article. The downside of daylight savings. Springing ahead may make us fall behind. Daylight savings time takes place in March, and most of us lose an hour of sleep. But there may be more at stake than some sleep. The cyclical disruption to your circadian rhythm, as small as it may seem by losing just an hour, actually hampers long-term intelligence. Researchers at Indiana, where only a few counties observe time changes, looked at 10 years of SAT scores in public high schools across the state and found that daylight savings time observing counties had average scores 16 points lower than those of counties that do not spring ahead and do not change their clock. The findings were reported in the Journal of Neuroscience, Psychology, and Economics. They don't reflect short-term fogginess after a time change, as the test is offered 7 times a year. So this is important to remember. It's not just the test that's taken during daylight savings time, but the test that's taken all across the year. So researchers blame the thrown-off circadian rhythms and attention disruption in melatonin function. This indirectly taxes the body and the brain. Because the SAT tests aptitude, investigators suggest that daylight savings time observance leads to brain damage. 16-point difference in SAT scores is a profound difference. So, what this study suggests is that sleep deprivation, even a very small amount, can significantly impact intelligence.